What's going on, my beautiful people? Happy Monday. We are here inside the Black Actors Studio. I'm your host, Danny Royce, our season finale. I'm so excited about my guest joining me today. You know him very well from Family Matters as Eddie Winslow. He is an incredible performer, so stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Hey, there it is. What's good, everybody? Welcome inside the Black Actors Studio. I'm extremely excited about my guest today. It brings a lot of nostalgia. I was a huge fan since day one and just changed my life, and I know a lot of lives of young black men around the country. You've seen him in Mississippi Burning, Big Shot, Anger Management, Transformers, Next Day Air, also Family Matters, obviously, and Monogamy. The Black Actors Studio is very proud to welcome Darius McCrary.
Hey,
what's good, buddy?
Yeah. Thank you for that intro,
Of
Danny.
course, you're well deserved.
I forgot some of that stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah, it was in that. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today, man. Just being here talking to you. I'm telling you, man.
Thank you for having me.
So many great memories. Just watching you on the screen.
Yeah, man. It's quite a blessing and an honor, man. Whenever someone wants to sit down and talk with you, man. I love what you guys are doing, man. And thank you for having me again.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and some of those memories, they're pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I look back over some of that stuff, and I'm like, wow, that actually happened.
Right. It's like, that's
wow.
crazy. Childhood actor. I mean, you've been in the game for a minute.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. It's humbling.
Yeah.
It always brings me to a place of humility. They say there's the difference between being humble and humiliated is when you're humble, you are smart enough to know how not to be humiliated.
Okay, I remember that.
So I'm humbled, man. When I step back and I just think of some of the things and some of the projects that I've been blessed to be a part of.
For sure.
I remember Mississippi Burning.
Yes,
some of my most vivid memories on the set of Big Shots.
Yeah.
Working with Paul Winfield, the late great Paul Winfield, B. Richards. People who have kicked in doors for people like myself and yourself.
Right.
And I don't think that there's enough credit given to so many actors who've gone on before us, because there are people like Bing Crosby who opened the door for people like Louis Armstrong, who was the first African American to receive an on-screen credit. Bing Crosby said, "This is my friend Louis, and he's going to get a credit for his name and his work.
Right.
And if you don't like it, I'm not going to be in your film."
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I think that the climate and the direction that New Hollywood is taking now, I think that we're seeing some great work and a lot more unity.
Right.
And I think that if we continue to stay on that path and reach back and take some notes from the old school, I think that we'll be able to kick in more doors for our Latino brothers and sisters, our Asian brothers and sisters, because it's a big world out there.
It is. It is.
And we want to see more of us. And us isn't a color.
Right.
It's a vibe. It's a thing. It's about love. It's about a good feeling.
Yeah.
When you watch a good project, I don't at least say, my barometer of being able to say this is a good project is if I could see a black person playing this role. Could I see an Asian person playing this role? Could I see a white person playing this role? I mean, if it's well written, it's well written for anyone.
Right.
A movie I did called Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
It was based on a play called The Departed. And that, starred obviously Whoopi Goldberg. Shout out to Whoopi, Jada Pinkett Smith, Anthony Anderson, Vivica Fox.
Yes.
LL Cool J.
Amazing cast.
One of the greatest African American cast I consider to be assembled. Tony Braxton, Cedric the Entertainer, Loretta Devine. She played my mom.
Loretta,
but it was based on a play, a stage play. It was adapted from a stage play called The Departed, which was originally starred a white family. So great work translates and transcends color.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I like to start off in the beginning in the studio. So where were you born?
I was born here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Native,
man, from the city of LA. I'm a native. It's more of us now.
Yeah, right.
It used to be.
Well, I find I got quite a few native friends, and they're all dope. Like they're just really nice.
Yeah.
It's like the transplants that come here. They kind of.
Yeah, man. And I can say this as a native, man, as a son of LA, man. I can say, honestly, those are most of the people who I've met that are unsavory and uncool, man. They try to come here and be what they think LA is, man.
Yeah.
But LA is a cool vibe, man.
Yeah.
We're cool people because it's a melting pot.
It is. It really is.
Everybody that came here from somewhere else, they came here to be something,
right.
and not necessarily to be an actor or an entertainer.
Right.
I can say I come from a long line of entertainers. The McCrary family. That's my phone. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's good. Hey, why we do that? Let me dab. No. We got some background music going on now. So yeah, I want to get into how was the dynamic growing up? Your father and your mother. How was the dynamic with that?
Growing up, McCrary, it was really, really a great dynamic.
Yeah.
My father is a musician. He worked with and has worked and works with some of the greats in the industry. Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, to Diana Ross, Maria Mulder. So it was pretty cool, man. And in fact, that's how I was discovered. My mom, she took care of the home, and that's how she became the momager.
The momager.
Yeah,
like that.
She's one of those moms who still has a great reputation in Hollywood. She was not a nightmare. She wasn't a headache. She was protective.
Right.
I remember reflecting back to Big Shots. That character Scam was a streetwise kid from the south side of Chicago.
Right.
So in the building. He had a really quick wit and a sharp tongue. Razor sharp tongue, this kid, so he was cussing a whole lot.
Yeah.
And my mom went to the producers and was like, hey, look, y'all got to give me 50-50 on this here.
Right.
And they did.
Okay.
They made some concessions, out of respect for the fact that the image of African American people, could be damaged or besmirched, and looked at a certain way, especially back then because it wasn't 50,000 platforms.
Right, exactly.
I was this little black kid. That movie was it. Right. That's what we were going to see, and shout out to my mom, so that's what it was like growing up. It was pretty cool. My dad was, was touring and singing and
doing his thing. Yeah. So was it? How was it having your mom as a manager? Because there's a lot of childhood actors out there, and it's a different story. Everyone has their own story. So I wanted to know how was it for you?
Well, for me, having my mom as a manager was truly a blessing. And she was able to practice on my dad.
Okay.
So he softened her up for me.
There you go. That's true.
That's how she got to me. She was ready for prime time.
That's dope.
And it was cool. Like I said, she used to encourage me to hang out with my father. In fact, if I had the kind of mother who tried to keep me from my dad or was selfish, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. She encouraged me to go to work with my dad, to hang out with my dad. She probably had selfish reasons for doing that, looking back.
Wait a minute.
But it was a play my father was doing. He co-wrote the music with Marvin Winans called Don't Get God Started, starring Chip Fields and Torian Black.
Wow.
Another great actor, Hill Street Blues. And Chip Fields.
Legend.
Just Auntie Chip. She actually discovered me on this play. I was running around backstage, bothering people and just getting in everything. Wasn't afraid to talk. This gregarious kid. And she said, I got to take him for this audition. They're looking for a little kid to be in this movie. And my mom at the time was funny. She said, "You can take him. I'm not dealing with him."
Oh.
Because my mom had given me an opportunity before. She procured an opportunity for me to be in the industry, to have an audition.
Right.
And I dropped the ball. I completely clammed up.
Oh.
Yeah, she was friends with Tiffany Brissett, who played there was a show called Small Wonder. For all y'all old heads out there.
Small
Wonder, about the little robot girl. Shout out to Tiffany Brissett and her mom, Miss Brissett. And so we had all hung out. We went to dinner and went to a movie. And so my mom introduced me, and we were talking, and she asked me some questions, I remember, and was trying to talk to me. Mm-hmm. And I just clammed up. Oh, wow. And Tiffany's mom was like, I don't think that this is for him.
That's why I was nice.
Yeah. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you."
Oh, no.
She's like, "I usually can't turn you off, and you embarrass me." So with Auntie Chip, when she went and got this opportunity, my mom was like, "If you want him to do it, you take it. He doing this, he ain't embarrassing me no more." and that's what Chip Fields did.
Wow.
My Aunt Chip, she flew with me to Chicago. Mm-hmm. First, I auditioned for the role here. Mm-hmm. They flew me to Chicago out of 5,000 kids, and this is back in the day. Shout out to Lynn Stallmaster, a real casting director, one of the OGs, or casting royalty. Mm-hmm. I read here in LA with him. Okay. And he sent the tape. It wasn't a self-tape. Uh-huh. I read with him. I went in the room with the casting director who gave me direction. Okay.
Right. It's a difference.
Yeah. Okay. And he went through all these kids. He did his job, and he went through all these kids. And we flew to Chicago, and I read in front of Robert Mandel, brilliant director, and Chip Fields flew to Chicago with me.
That's dope.
Yeah, and coached me, man. Coached me the whole way through it. And they were looking, like I said, in New York, LA, and Chicago.
Right.
So that means you had 3 different casting directors working, because it wasn't like it is now. Yeah.
And so what do you think about how casting is going now with a lot of self-tape? I mean, self-tapes are like the norm right now, and everything's digitally,
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel any way about it. I mean, it's all about progression.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go backwards. Right. It's not going to happen. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a new app out tomorrow that'll help actors cast themselves in roles.
Right.
If there isn't already. But I do feel like there's something that's lost, and I just feel blessed to have been a part of that era, the golden age of Hollywood, where you actually had relationships. And I still have great relationships with casting directors. Shout out to great casting directors like Robbie Reed, Mindy Marin, Leah Daniels Butler, who I just love so much. Bonnie Timmerman, Deborah Quilla. I mean, I don't mean to drop names. I'm sorry, but
you're dropping a few names. No, that's dope. They're amazing.
There's some real ones that are out there that are still really about that life.
Yeah,
because it's a life.
It is.
And I mean that's one of the things that, in my opinion, you get a great script first, and then you find a great director if the director hasn't written the script.
Right.
And you have to find those people who can bring those roles to life.
Exactly.
And then there's something that happens. There's a magic that takes place in that room.
Right.
If someone's not already attached to a project, there have been projects where I've been blessed, and I really truly consider it an honor. And it's really humbling when they attach you to the project.
Yeah, it's like it's an offer.
Yeah, when I was blessed to play Gerald Levert in the Mickey Howard project, Mickey Howard, Love Under New Management. The way it went down was they brought me in a room and we talked, and they were like, "Okay, well, you're going to play Gerald Levert." And I was like, "Okay,
all right."
Wow,
it's like we just jumped a whole bunch of steps.
Well, I mean, it was just so humbling because
sure.
Gerald Joe Lavert is one of the musical icons who doesn't get a lot of shine. We don't talk about Joe since his passing, and so to be thought of in that respect, when people think of you and they're writing something and they say you can do this, and they have that confidence in you, it's truly a blessing.
For sure.
It's humbling.
What did you think about? Did you watch the Bobby DeBarge story recently?
I did watch the Bobby DeBarge story.
And what was your thoughts about that? That was like the latest musical.
I'm so
drama.
proud of that cast.
Yeah.
That was an amazing cast. Once again, great casting.
Right.
It's hard because I know the DeBarge family. Elle is one of my closest friends and one of my greatest mentors. Chico is a very, very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that can't be said in those biopics, and there's a lot that's left out, and left for interpretation, And everybody has a different story, or different perception, So I thought it was. The cast did a great job.
Yes, a great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Blue Kimmel, my castmate Lil Ro.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lil Ro.
Yeah, Ro. That's family. That's family. Yeah.
Did you have any? You had any nicknames growing up?
I did.
Yeah.
I have a nickname growing up. They used to call me Toy with an I.
Toy with an I.
Yeah. T-O-I.
And where does that come from?
My aunt was going to name her son Toy, and I was born first. And so she said, I ain't going to do you dirty like that. I'm going to name him Darius, but we going to call him Toy because I like that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So how was school for you? You mentioned how when you were discovered. So how was going to school and then going to auditions and then working and all that stuff? How was that for you?
Difficult.
Yeah.
Going to school and getting education was something that wasn't an option. In fact, toward the latter years of Family Matters, I was trying to take a GED and just kind of skip that process. Right. My mom wasn't having it, and Linda Stone, our studio teacher, wasn't either. But I was always homeschooled. But my mom would make sure that in between gigs, I went to school so that I would have that experience and that interaction with other students. Right. My mom and dad worked very hard to make sure that I had as much of a normal childhood as I could. I mean, you understand, coming up, I had to eat different. Right. I couldn't play outside the way kids played outside because if something happened to me and I was injured, there goes the check.
There goes that. Exactly. Yeah.
So it was much different back then because we were brought up. It wasn't all these phones and apps and stuff.
Right.
Man. What was we doing? We were climbing trees, hopping fences, riding bikes. Throwing
street lights come on.
Street lights come on. Go home. We was cutting up back then. We was outside. It was different. Right. But I would when Family Matters came, I would do 3 weeks on. We would do 3 weeks on, and then when we go on hiatus that 1 week, we would go to school and I would get all my assignments and I was always trying to finish all my work, and so I would try to get like a week's worth of work done in a day. Because we used to bank hours. They call it banking. For those of you who don't know, child actors, sometimes the studio or the production will get in trouble, and you'll need the child actor on set, and so you might not be able to do the full 3 hours that is required. Right. So what they do is they put hours. They'll just keep you in school, and they put hours in the bank. And so we'll say, well, how many hours do you have banked? Gotcha. Okay. And so for me, once again, shout out to my mom, Miss Shea, because she made sure that while I was on set, I still was able to engage in physical activity. So she would do things like have a PE teacher come on, and I would learn martial arts and different stuff like that when I was on set. In fact, Jaleel White always says some of his fondest memories would be me pulling up in the car with my loud music and some hotties getting out the car, or either looking out of his dressing room window or his school window and seeing me studying karate with some strange man, some strange karate man. That's how Jay says it.
Oh man,
it's pretty accurate.
That's pretty accurate. So when you were getting more into acting and whatnot, who on TV inspired you? Was there any television programs, any films that you really were like, oh, like I want to do that?
For me, growing up, I was inspired by actors like Todd Bridges, Kay Coleman, Emmanuel Lewis. Shows like What's Happening with Ernest Thomas, who I thank every time I see him, Ernest Thomas. I think it's just so important that we don't forget those entertainers and those performers who, like I said, kicked in so many doors for us, because you have no idea what these guys had to go through.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine being an entertainer and your name being on the marquee and you have to walk through the back door because you're not allowed to come into the establishment?
Right.
And we can never become so successful that we are forgetful.
Right. I totally agree.
And I see so much of that today. And it just reminds me of, I'll never forget, one of my favorite stories is we used to have these affiliate dinners where the networks would bring all the affiliates from across the nation together. They don't have to do that anymore because there are 3 million platforms. Right. But they used to have to work together to create a network. You didn't just click a button. And so you had these huge dinners. And so, you'd have like the Pointer Sisters perform, or George Burns perform, Milton Berle perform, and they have these great dinners. And one year, I decided I was going to bring Todd Bridges to the affiliates dinner.
Oh, okay.
And I did. I brought Todd. And it was hilarious because all the producers were like, is he on drugs? Is Darius okay? Is Todd being a bad influence to him? What's going on? But I took Todd Bridges to the ABC affiliates dinner because I felt that it was important that people remember his face and remember and see that he's okay. And hopefully some good would come out of it. And Todd, I love you and thank you for even accepting the invitation. He came and we went. And it was really cool.
Were you there like through his process and all that of getting clean?
I watched. I watched from afar. It's very difficult, to be there for someone going through a process when you're trying to build yourself.
Exactly.
It's kind of hard, especially in this industry. With us, it's hard, and I say with us because I honestly I don't subscribe to Black Hollywood, White Hollywood. I subscribe to Hollywood. Right. We just are black in Hollywood.
Exactly.
But there's a difference. Amen. And as long as you're cognizant of the difference, you can maneuver. And the worst enemy to fight is the enemy that you are unaware of. Right. So if you walk through something like you're unaware, you're gonna get hit with something that you're not gonna see. Exactly. But if you know what it is, like, oh, okay, I understand what that is. Okay, God bless you too. right.
And keep it moving. Yeah. So you just rap monogamy, right?
I have to correct you. Craigrostan Jr.'s monogamy.
Craigrostan Jr.'s monogamy. Sorry, thank you for correcting me.
It's all good. I'm here for you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. So tell us a little bit about your character in that project.
My character in Craigrostan Jr.'s monogamy is Connor. Connor is a streetwise guy who has a rough and seriously hard exterior because he's been through hell and back. He's found a different way of life, and he is in a marriage that he is unhappy in, and he finds comfort in the swap with Sensei, who's played by Karen Ward Ross. And it's a whirlwind of a love story. Christy Ferris, who's just amazing, plays Deandra, who's Connor's wife. And she has him under her thumb, and it's really cool.
And when is this releasing?
This will be out in September. Yeah, awesome. on UMC. AMC,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We'll definitely keep a lookout for that.
Please do. Yep.
And so I want to dive into like your process just a little bit. We have a lot of actors and aspiring actors viewing, and just want to know like what you do to get into the role, into that character, or are there any process or any things that you do on set?
My process is a little bit different. I mean, I come from the old school.
Right.
And one thing I don't do is I don't ever take anything for granted, and I never approach any project the same. I'm very honest. I'm honest in my life. I'm honest, and so I feel that honesty is one of the biggest parts of delivering a believable performance. What I like to do is I like to do something I call anchoring, and my anchor is something that is relatable between myself and that character. Right. And so, whatever it is, if I'm playing a serial killer, even though I'm not a serial killer, I'm gonna find some type of anchor that I can immediately go to.
Gotcha.
And especially in today's world, when you're doing these independents, or it's a 15-day shoot, you don't have the time that we used to have. I mean, you used to have 90 days to shoot. We used to. I feel so blessed when I think about it. Like, the production used to actually spend money to send us a family or people you were supposed to be bonding with on excursions so that you could bond.
Wow. Wow.
Like, yo, hey, this your man. Yo, your daddy is playing cops. Y'all best friends. Y'all finna go out. Y'all go hang out, go chill, get to know each other.
Wow, let's bring that back.
We'll see y'all later.
Let's bring that back.
So when we playing best friends, we've had 3 weeks to hang during pre-production and rehearsals and everything, and we chilling. They spending money sending us to strip clubs. And we hanging, and so when we get on screen, it's real.
Right.
So what I've learned to do is I've learned to create what I call an anchor, so that I can just go there, and find that moment. Right. And that's what I look for. And whatever it is, it's just something that I'm going to be able to relate to. And if I'm really on, I'm going to find like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. For me, it's really important to have that character backstory, stuff that's not in the script. Right. That stuff is really important as well. Right. And it's things that I can call on. Christophe St. John, rest in peace. He was really amazing with that. And I just learned so much from him. He was one of the best to do it. I mean, we got so comfortable with watching him be Neil Winters that we forget that he was a child actor as well. Yeah. I mean, this dude, he was doing it. He started younger than me.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, it's the words that aren't on the page, really. Those are the things that make it.
And those are the moments that allow you as an actor to sometimes do nothing.
Yeah.
Because see, a lot of times, we, especially as black actors, I mean, we be so hungry, man, for that opportunity, man. We be, we just always feel like we got to do something. Right. Something with your eyes. Yeah. Something with your lips. Something. We just got to do something. It's my moment. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. It's like, man, sit your ass down, man. Sometime in life, you don't do anything.
You don't do anything, yeah.
And you're not listening to respond.
Right. A
lot of times that I see in a lot of production, is you're listening to respond. Sometimes you just got to listen.
Just listen.
And you don't have anything to say. Right. You don't have anything to give. Right. And so by knowing your stuff and being comfortable having that anchor, knowing that stuff that's not on the page, that's what makes you comfortable enough to sometimes just do nothing.
Yeah.
And in the moments of nothingness, sometimes you create everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, Oscar-worthy performances. Who's someone that you?
I can't give y'all all the secrets.
I know, right? He be teaching classes soon on master class, right? Who's someone that you would love to work with that you haven't worked with?
Someone I'd love to work with I haven't worked with. I'd love to watch J-Lo from the back.
I agree with that one. Yes, I definitely agree with that one.
I haven't worked with Jamie Foxx. Fox is so talented. I love Fox.
I can see that.
He's just so solid dude. Haven't worked with Martin. Would love to work with Martin, and like my dream would be to work with Eddie Murphy.
Shit.
I mean, that would be like
Coming to America 2. Let's go.
I'll even go deeper than that. I would love to be able to do something with Eddie where Eddie actually produced.
Okay.
And starred.
Got you. Okay.
You know?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So what's one?
Kate Hudson's hot too.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
No, I'm just saying.
What's one of your greatest moments on set? If you could just choose one real quick.
Man, why you want to do that to me, Daddy? I thought you liked me, man. On set?
Yeah.
Okay, on set. Man, playing Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, man, it was just like John Hirschfeld, who I just love so much. He's one of my favorite directors. He's just a beast, man. Man, it was just something when they was doing that movie, man. Only in America, which won the Emmy for best television film. It was a watershed film. Ving Rhames won a Golden Globe, and he gave it to Jack Lemmon, which I thought was just a beautiful expression of love and selflessness.
Right.
Love you, Ving. Another great mentor. But just being in that ring and going through the fight sequences, man, and being able to box and flow and use my gifts, in a different capacity, physicality, and the responsibility of embodying the greatest of all time through my interpretation was just it was amazing.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's dope. That's definitely a good
and we had
moment.
a short time to do it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the Michael Mann budget that Will Smith had, and
right.
All that. Nah, it was like some serious rawness. It was.
Right.
And that's what was hella cool about it.
Right.
That's
dope.
Yeah.
And so as a child actor and growing up in the industry and now still doing your thing and changing with the times, how do you stay relevant, so to speak? How do you continue moving with the time?
Well, man, honestly, I don't really pay attention to relevance, Danny. Relevance it doesn't really pertain to my journey. It might be for some other people, but I don't care about what you think about me now.
Right.
I have to control the narrative of now.
Yes.
So, and I'm in syndication, so. Get like me.
That's right. I love that answer, though. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that it's important to constantly be under construction.
Yes.
That's what our responsibility is here on this planet as artists, and that's one of the many things that we do owe our higher power. If you do believe in a higher power, if you don't, if you think that you are your higher power, you owe that to yourself.
Right.
And you have to remember, I mean, every time you snap your fingers, man, these are thousands of cells that are just falling off, man. You brush your hair, they're not concerned about relevance.
Right. Hey. You know what I'm saying? Right.
And all we are is we're just a big cell, man. That's what we are.
That's true.
So yeah, man.
I feel you on that.
Just keep working.
Just keep working, bettering yourself every day,
That's
man.
it, man.
Was there any personal demons or challenges that you found yourself dealing with through this journey?
Oh man, personal demons, challenges, love, man.
Yeah.
Love and my love of the fair sex, man. You know, man, I'm gonna tell you, boy. Hell haveth no fury like a woman scorned. And a scorned woman ain't got nothing on a video vixen.
Yes, man. Yes.
Man, you know what I'm saying? You never trust a big butt to smile. Oh, man, if I could go back in time and undo anything, man, it would be, man, you know, just I think that if I would be able to focus more on my gifts and my crafts versus allowing myself to focus on love. Right. You know, people ask, would you rather love or money? I'd rather money. Right. I'd rather money. Love is fleeting. Yeah. You know, love is fleeting, man. I mean, just like, you know, the love with the relationship between, you know, your fans. Or I like to call Monty Shaka has taught me. It's better to have supporters than fans. Yes, so I say my supporters. Because when you've been doing it this long, it's a support system. It really is, man. And it's a relationship. Right. You know, and I feel honored and blessed to have the love that I do from my supporters. Think I couldn't do it. Right. You know, not this long. Right. Maybe in and out. I'm gonna dip my toe in, or put my foot in, but I mean, 35 years plus. Right. You know, doing this, I couldn't do it without the support. You know, and so I think that my biggest thing has been, you know, because my parents after so many years had split, and that was hard for me, because I had to step up and be the patriarch of my family, and I wasn't prepared for that. You know, I'd already given up my childhood as a child actor, and then I had to step in and be, you know, provider, big brother / dad. Everything. That was hard, man. Everything. And so I found myself wanting to give myself what was lost between my parents. Right. And so I was looking for that American dream. Yeah. You know, I was looking for that Bonnie and Clyde thing. I was looking for that power couple, that thing that Will and Jada have. Yeah. And we all want that. Exactly. You know? But we have to control our narrative and understand that everything ain't for everybody. Right. You know, in this arena, this Hollywood arena, which we do not own, which was not created by us, for us. Some of us will be able to attain mainstream success. Yeah. Some of us will be able to play on this playing field that we did not create and be champions in their arena. Right. But there are others of us who have to write a different narrative. There are others of us who have to find ways to open doors, you know, like your Tyler Perry's, like Craigrostan Jr. is doing with this show Monogamy, like John Singleton, rest in peace, who did so much. And there are projects that people don't even know he produced Hustle and Flow. Crazy. And the story behind it is sick how he did it. Yeah. I mean, Snowfall was his latest project. Yeah. I mean, Shaft, he resurrected the Fast and Furious franchise. Right. I mean, I could go on and on about John. He's a dear friend of mine. But, you know, we have to be creative, and we have to understand that a lot of times there will be sacrifices that will be made if you choose to accept your challenge. Yeah. I think it is a challenge. It is, and I believe we're so quick to judge, you know, people like, you know, Macaulay Culkin or Britney Spears, or, you know, when they go through these certain turmoil, you know, and it's a lot of pressure. Did you have like any type of experience or meltdown experience that you had? You know, for me, I really haven't had a meltdown. That's good. I haven't, because my support system's so strong. Yeah, people around you. Growing up, you know, watching Rick James, who was I'm his illegitimate godchild. I'm his illegitimate godson. You know, watching Auntie Shaka. Yeah. You know, my Aunt Linda and my family come up in this industry, I kind of had a bit of a map.
Right.
You know, I was able to see. So I haven't had a meltdown. You know, what I am guilty of, though, is allowing certain people into my life who shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And you know, when they have the meltdown, or you know, when they're not capable of dealing with what comes with this industry and the expectations,
right.
You know, sometimes it can have an adverse and negative effect on you.
Right.
You know, and those are the people who like to light fires and like, oh God, what did I do?
Yeah.
Oh my God, let me run and hide. And you're stuck there to deal with the destruction.
Right.
You know, and it's different for us as black folks in this game.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It is.
You know, it's been different for us as black folks in this country, period. I mean, when you go back to segregation, when you go back to, we couldn't drink out of the same fountain.
Right.
We couldn't walk through the same doors. So how the hell do you think that we're going to be accepted and able to do the same things, even if it's said that we can?
Right.
There's a difference.
It is.
There's a difference, you know. So, you know, we don't have the luxury of tearing each other down in the press. We don't have the luxury of going to sell stories and do. We don't have that luxury.
Right.
You know, that's a luxury that's not afforded to us. You name me one black actor who's been able to sell their baby pictures for $2-3 million. Name me one black actor.
Right.
that sold baby pictures for.
I'm speechless. Speechless. Wow. Yeah, I mean, and bringing people and trusting people into your lives, especially growing up and whatnot. You know, we had a huge, Me Too movement, especially last year, still going. I know you had voiced being a victim a few years back. What's your thoughts on the whole movement? And you got people like Terry Crews that stepped up and things like that, speaking out, and the casting couch and all that stuff. And what are your thoughts about how far it's going, and what do you think the future leads in?
I'm gonna say this: you knew the job was dangerous when you took it.
Yeah. Period. Yeah. I
mean, if you walk into a bar, there's a chance that you might end up in a bar fight.
Yeah. Hey. The environment, right?
I mean, and this industry has been known to produce precarious situations.
Right.
That's it. You know, and so I think that it's important that we give support to victims.
Right.
I do not in any way, shape, or form shame anyone who it takes time for them to voice their truth.
Yeah.
I do feel that it's important that we continue to remain honest. And that's if I could say anything about the whole Me Too movement, is I appreciate the honesty that it's producing within the industry.
Right.
Because there has to be honor amongst thieves.
Okay. So I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about, of course, Family Matters, because
let's talk about it.
Man, love it.
How could you not?
What was one of your favorite moments on that show? I mean, I know there is a lot. There's got to be.
Why you keep doing this to me, Daddy? You keep saying,
give me at least one or two.
One moment.
Two. Something.
Okay, two.
Yeah.
My first favorite moment was singing with Tracy Spencer. I just love Tracy Spencer.
Hey.
My second favorite Family Matters moment was when my brother Donnie played Spider.
Okay.
My brother Donovan, he played Little Ricky in Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
And he was a basketball phenom. And Jaleel was just awesome. He's a hoop master. And so being able to play with my brother and Larry Johnson, whose grandmama came on, that was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a lot of improv on the set, right?
Surprisingly,
Or was it all written?
Surprisingly, we had improv, but you got to remember it was a process back then. Yeah. So when we would improv in rehearsal, and they would write it into the script.
Ah, okay, got you. Oh, got it. No, that's
so more of the improv was our physical comedy. You have to be able to hold for laughs, because see, what a lot of actors don't understand is there are different methods to this madness. Yeah. I'm not gonna give you the same thing on a sitcom set that I'm giving you in a theater.
Right, for sure.
I'm not gonna give you the same thing on a feature film that I'm giving you in a sitcom. Right. In fact, I actually was fired from one job. I've been fired one time in my whole career. It was a show called Designing Women, because I had just come off of the Mississippi Burning set, and I didn't understand the transition. I was used to being on set. I was talking, and the boom was right there. They would mic us most of the time. But when you're on a sitcom, you have to project,
right?
And you have to. There are comedy beats and stuff you have to be aware of. And so I went in the room and I gave a great audition. In fact, I didn't even have to read for this. They actually had brought me in. Fran Bascom, who was head of Warner Brothers Casting, they brought me and she interviewed me, and they put me right on his show, and I went in and I wasn't able to make the transition. Wow. So it's a serious system, and on Family Matters. Such a brilliant cast: Reginald Johnson,
such a beauty,
Kelly Williams, the legendary Thelma Hopkins.
I do have to say, because when we saw each other at the event a couple weeks ago, and seeing you and Reginald together again, I was like, this is great,
man. Reggie, man, he was really like my dad, man. And for real, like Rosetta Lenoir, who actually played Mother Winslow, she was the first black woman to own a theater in this country. Wow. She produced a show called Bubbling Brown Sugar.
Wow.
Which is something we really need to look into probably redoing, Jaleel, Reggie.
Yes, yeah.
Bubbling Brown Sugar. That was a Broadway show. And so my point was that Reggie Johnson, who was an NYU graduate, and I always talk about this with him, it was really intimidating because I had no formal training.
Yeah.
And so they used to tell me, if you knew what was inside of you and the potential you have as an actor, you take this so much more serious. they were on my head, man. They were on my head, man. God. Man. But we used to have a really good time, and so we would improv, but we would do that improv stuff, and they would write it into the script. And,
man, you and Jaleel, you guys still kick it, or
that's my dog.
Yeah,
Jaleel White, living legend, man, and walking.
Right, it's so many great memories of you two on there.
Still ain't moving.
That's true.
Living legend and moving.
So this talks about the Family Matters revival, right?
I don't want to work with those people. Especially Eddie Winslow.
Right.
Y'all have no idea what that dude put me through.
Oh, man.
He gave me my first joint. Winslow.
But, hey, they had girls across the country.
Oh, man, Eddie had
falling.
Eddie, I used to have to, run one girl out the front door of the stage, and while he was running another chick out the back door of the stage. Eddie used to, man, that dude, man, he's something else. Leave him where he is. I don't know what he doing now. He probably running a whole house in Chi-Town.
I can see that. If it was to if they were to revamp it or somehow, whatever, right, or make a movie, who would you like to play Eddie Winslow?
Who would I want to see play Eddie Winslow if they redid it? I don't know. I have to think about that. Yeah, I have to think about that. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting, right?
Yeah, you might have to cast for that. No, seriously. Because it was just it was an honesty that I was able to experience with that character. And big shout out to Miller Boyette, Bob Boyette. I just love that man so much. Just amazing. They saw something in me, once again, coming from the theatrical background. They actually brought in coaches to work with me.
Nice.
So that I would be able to open up that channel.
Right.
And flow like that. That's why that character spoke volumes to so many people.
Yeah.
And people still look at me as their big brother.
Right. For sure. It was like, come on, Eddie, make everything okay. Make everything okay.
That's what that was. You know?
How many times did you have to audition for that role?
I didn't have to audition for that role as many times as I have to read for a lot of stuff that's been less impactful. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Because Bob and Tom, they knew what they
just
wanted. They knew what they wanted. Mm-hmm. You know.
Did you when did it come to you? They're like, okay, this show will go down in history as a classic. When did you actually see that? I
don't think I ever really saw the show going down in history.
Okay.
And I think that that's really an important quality to possess when you're in the midst of greatness. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you can ever look at this and say, "Oh, this is going to be the bomb."
Right.
Now you might feel it inside, like when you walk on stage and you see these great actors,
right,
or you're working with these amazing producers who have this illustrious history,
right,
you know, inside. But I think the moment that you embrace that feeling of cockiness, mm-hmm, is the moment you set yourself up for a fall. I think you got to be a little bit cocky to do what we do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Confidence, not cocky.
That's my point.
That's
You got to have confidence,
right?
But you can't allow the cockiness,
right?
You know,
right.
To seep in, because that's when you set yourself up for that knockout. So I never said, "Oh, this is going to be it," but I mean, walking on the stage. Here's Thelma Hopkins.
Yeah.
Reginald L. Johnson was just in one of the biggest movies in the world,
right.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is Miller Boy Ed. You knew, you know, and
dope.
you know, and then I'm like, oh, I mean, I did a little movie or two myself. You know,
right.
So you knew you were in the midst of greatness.
Right. Well, I want to say thank you for that, because little did you know you were affecting a lot of lives cross country, including myself.
Wow, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an honor, man.
For sure. And that's why we do what we do, right?
Yes, man. Planning forward, man. That's awesome, man.
So I got two questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you participate in?
What profession other than my own? Well, I am a musician.
Okay.
But I haven't been able to make any real money doing that. Shout out to Heritage Music. Heritage Music Group, Scars and Stripes, the 1500 or nothing. My guy Mars, Jovan Dawkins. I probably want to be a chef.
Ah, okay. Nice.
Yeah. I'm thinking about going to culinary school and leaving all this behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I went to culinary school. We'll talk afterwards.
Okay. Awesome.
And last but not least, heaven exists. You get to God. What would you like to hear him say to you?
I would like to hear God say, "Damn, D, you did that."
Yeah.
Those are the exact words I want to hear.
There you go.
Damn, D, you did that.
And you did do that. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show, okay?
My man.
Darius McCrary, guys. Anyway, so this is the season finale of Inside the Black Actor Studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Darius, go ahead and tell everybody where to keep up with you on social media and all that.
Hey, I'm a simple man with complicated dreams, so it's just Darius McCrary everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
There you go.
Darius McCrary on Twitter, Darius McCrary on Facebook, Darius McCrary on Instagram. If you talk to me, I might talk back. So be nice.
Be nice, yes. And please look for him on Monogamy.
Craig Ross Jr.
Craig Ross Jr.'s, sorry. Monogamy. Craig Ross Jr.'s Monogamy in September. And you can find me everywhere at I Am Danny Royce. Thank you so much, y'all. It's been a pleasure bringing these guests in week and week out. Have a great one. God bless. See you next time inside the studio.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content. And be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live. Hollywood redefined.